everyone. This is Sincerae, a Teacher Sincerae's channel, and welcome once again. So, I just for some reason was in a mood to do a video tonight. I don't know why. After a long day of work, and then my last student this evening I had was at 7, and from 7 to 7:30, and she said, you look tired. And I told her I am. I've been teaching since 11 this morning. I had breaks, of course, but I've been teaching since 11. My general work schedule can be anywhere. I have students scheduled anywhere from like 11 a.m. in the morning until as late as 8 at night. I'm not a big morning person, so I start working late morning. And then I have regular students. I can't move my schedule back up because they're expecting me to come at a certain time. So I'm sort of stuck with the schedule that I have. But I'm better. I think I do better working later in the late morning and throughout the day, off and on throughout the day. So I have students, throughout that time, and she was telling me I look tired. So I don't know for the life of me why I'm up here making a video. But anyway, but I was kind of excited about some of the books that I have that I'm reading, and also I want to do sort of a slight book haul and also give you an update on the situation with my friend in Gaza. And I'm going to leave that for near the end. But anyway, I wanted to show, let's see, this is, I want to show first the book that I'm currently reading. This is it right here. It's called Three Worlds, Memoirs of an Arab Jew, and it's by Avi Saleem. Professor Saleem is a university professor. He's also an anti-Zionist Jew, and this is his memoir about growing up in Iraq in a privileged Jewish family. Iraq had a large Jewish community before the creation of the State of Israel, and I'm close to halfway through, and I need to finish it up because it's not my book. It's actually a library book. And this is it right here. You can see it. And it's quite interesting. It's about, people usually are exposed to like Ashkenazi Jews, European Jews, but many people don't know very much about Mizrahi and Sephardic Jews. And so Professor Saleem is actually Mizrahi Jew. And his family had they were Jewish people. They basically had been living there. The Jewish community of Iraq has been living there since the captivity when they were taken by the Babylonians to that part, to Mesopotamia. So, so the book is interesting, and I'll talk more about it in detail when I finish it, but I just want to share it because it's what I'm basically focused on, just reading it at this time because it's a library book and I need to finish it up. Another book, I'm basically only reading 2 books now. I'm sort of focused on 2. There are 3 others that I've actually started, but I'm just focusing on 2 right now because of lack of time and energy. The next book that I have, I actually started reading it on Kindle. Okay, and I've been reading it for the last year. And it's a work of Christian philosophy, and it's called City of God by St. Augustine. Okay, and this is my newest copy. It is a tome. This is what you call a tome. A thick book is a tome. So this is a tome, and I started reading it on Kindle. It was like the complete works of St. Augustine. So I've been reading it for like a year, and then I got it for my birthday last week. This is a Penguin classic. I really, really wanted it. And what I'm actually doing is I've started back reading it. When I was reading it on Kindle, I had gotten about 700 pages into it, but I decided to go back and start reading it again. So I've started back reading it again, and I just love the City of God. This is the second book of St. Augustine's that I've read. I read his Confessions a few years ago. St. Augustine was born in the Roman province of Numidia in North Africa and what is now Algeria. and he was the son of a pagan father and a Christian mother. He was also Amazigh. The Amazigh people are called pejoratively Berber or Berber, but that's what he was. He was Amazigh, indigenous North African. And this book is, I mean, it's like his magnum opus. It talks about everything from arguing against the pagans who were blaming the Christians for the fall of Rome, when Rome was sacked by Alaric. And back in the, I think it was the 4th or 5th century. He also talks about secular and Christian history, the origins of the world, all of it. It's just a treasure trove of such interesting information. And I recommend that even if you're not Christian, you should read it. But certainly if you are a Christian and you are a serious Christian and you are a person that loves serious, very good writing, I mean, you know, if you love knowledge, you want to know more about your faith, I really recommend it. You know, some people sort of critical of St. Augustine because of his stance on predestination, but I'm not. And I feel like this kind of book is not a book that just scholarly people could read. I feel that if you are a person who is not scholarly, who is just a lay person, you can read this kind of book. And so, you know, I love scholarly things. I don't know if I would say exactly if I'm a scholar, but I love scholarly things, and I absolutely love this book, and I highly recommend it. I really like it that Penguin includes not only secular books, but also Christian books as well. So I will continue to read St. Augustine's City of God, and I may talk about it in a future video, but I pretty much have told you what it's about. So the other books I'm reading, I mentioned this one before, Memoirs of a Babylonian Princess by Maria Theresa Asmar. I got the second book the other week. I ordered the second. She wrote a two-volume memoir. Maria Theresa Asmar was born in what is now Iraq. She lived in what is northern Iraq, and it was at that time part of the Ottoman Empire. And she was very much for the education. She was Christian, and she was very much for the education of women and girls. She was a devout Christian, and she traveled throughout the Middle East, particularly the Levant and in Turkey. This is what I'm currently, I will get back more on it. I'm halfway through it almost after I finished up Professor Sleem's book. I also started my first Virginia Woolf. This is Orlando Here, okay, by Virginia Woolf. It is a fantasy. I started reading it a few weeks ago. I haven't gotten very far, only about 32 pages in. But so far, I find it interesting and different from what I usually read, because I don't tend to read fantasy genre, but I'm open to reading fantasy. So I will talk more about what I think, my impressions of it, in a later video. Also, as far as book hauls, I want to talk about a couple of books that I got recently. I've been wanting a copy of Blaise Pascal's Pensée. This was I got it used first. A few weeks ago, I ordered it used from Abe Books, and they will have on Abe Books, what condition the book is in. They'll have like it's very good, like new, good, fair. And so I chose a copy used that was listed as good. Okay. So when they sent it to me, the bookstore that it was coming from was a bookstore actually in my state. Okay. But what apparently must have happened is they didn't have a copy of it. So they sent to another bookstore in another state, to Texas, all the way out to Texas. And the copy they sent me was not in good condition. And I'm going to show you here, it's right here. It's a mess. And spine looks like this. This is what it looks like. And it also was marked in as well. Listen, there's writing in it. Let's see, can I show you? Yeah, there's also writing in it as well. It's a mess. I sent a ticket for it to be refunded, but then I decided not to do it. I said, okay, I'm going to read it. And then maybe if I like it, I will just get a good copy of it and then donate this one to the library, okay, to my local library. Well, I emailed the bookstore, and they told me what I could do. I just didn't send it in. I don't know why, but it ended up I decided last week that I was going to order another copy, and I would just donate this one. Okay, so I took another chance, ordered a copy from Amazon. They had cut the price on it, and this is what came today. This is my copy from Amazon. So it's in its new condition. And Blaise Pascal was a French writer. He was a philosopher. He was a thinker. And this book was basically his defense of the Christian faith. Okay. It's just a lot of different little pieces and fragments that he wrote. It's like his it's like his magnum opus, okay? And I've been wanting to read this book for quite some time, and I decided to get it. It says on the back, Blaise Pascal was the precociously brilliant contemporary of Descartes, but it is his unfinished apologia for the Christian religion upon which his reputation now rests. The Pensée is a collection of philosophical fragments, notes, and essays in which he explores the contradictions of human nature in psychological, social, metaphysical, and above all, theological terms. Humankind emerges from Pascal's analysis as a wretched and desolate creature within an impersonal universe, but also as a being whose existence can be transformed through faith in God's grace. I will admit I've gotten very, very interested in particularly Christian philosophy and Islamic philosophy to a certain extent as well. I'm reading a book of Islamic philosophy at one of my students by a Kurdish theologian named Said Nursi. And I've gotten really very interested in Christian philosophy, very much so. I took a philosophy class and dropped out of it when I was in university. It was an elective, and I didn't have to really take it. And we read Plato's Republic, and at that time, I absolutely hated it, okay? But I would like to go back and tackle it now at age 62 because I didn't like it when I was young. And I've noticed that books I've gone back to read, like that I didn't care much for when I was younger, like Pride and Prejudice, A Tale of Two Cities, reading these when I were like 17 years old or 20 years old, my whole outlook, a whole impression of these books have totally changed. Also, I reread 1984 the other year, and I rather liked 1984 when I was in high school and I read it, but I have a better understanding of it at the age that I am, and I can apply it to like real life, real political situations. And so another book I wanted to share also was this book. I got it recently called My First and Only Love by Sincerae Khalife. She is a Palestinian writer. Here it is here. Okay. And I saw this book, and the synopsis of it seemed really interesting, and I finally got it. It was the price they had brought the price down. It says, Nadal, after many decades of restless exile, returns to her family home in Nablus, where she had lived with her grandmother before the 1948 Nakba that scattered her family across the globe. She was a young girl when the popular resistance began, and through the bloodshed and bitter struggle, Nadal fell in love with freedom fighter Rabe. He was her first and only real love, him and all that he represented. Palestine is you, the resistance fighters and the heels, the nation as embodied in her family home and in the land. Many years later, Nadal and Rabe meet, and he encourages her to read her uncle Amin's memoirs. She immerses herself in the details of her family and national past and discovers the secret history of her absent mother. And so yeah, I got this one, and you have the woman here with the traditional Palestinian embroidered dress. So I really look forward to reading that. This is book 2 of the volume 2 of Babylonian Memoirs of a Babylonian Princess. Okay, so finally got the copy so I can continue Maria Theresa Asmar's story. And there's one more book. I teach on the platform where I teach. There are a lot of people from that live in Brazil. My longest time student that I've been teaching now for almost 3 years, who is like a son to me. I feel like a son to me, is Brazilian. And Brazil, I feel ashamed because since Brazil is in South America and I live in North America, I know more about places in the East, some places in the East, than I do about Brazil. And Brazil is the biggest country in Latin America and South America. So I should know more, and I only know bits and pieces. I've only read one Brazilian author, fiction author. He's like their top most famous author, classic author, Machado de Assis, and there are others as well, but that I plan to read, like Jorge Amado. But this is a nonfiction book. It's called Brazil, a Biography, and it's by Lilia M. Schwartz, I guess you pronounce it. She is Brazilian. She's a professor. She's born in Sao Paulo, and I really wanted to learn more about Brazil, the history of Brazil. It's another thick tome, okay? And so it's basically like new. It was a library book that basically, I guess, didn't get much readers to it. And yeah, so I feel like I feel ashamed that I should know more about Brazil, okay? Because it is one of our neighbors to the south. And Brazil has some similarities to the United States. It is not made up of provinces. It's actually made up of states, like my country. And I've been told by a couple of students that Brazilians, a lot of things, some things, how they think are very similar. Their outlook on life is sort of similar to Americans, okay, in some ways. But not completely, certainly not completely. Brazil, basically was settled, colonized by Portuguese people from Southern Europe, whereas, my country, the people that colonized this country were from Northern Europe. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about give a little update about my young friend in Gaza, Walla. I had not heard from her in a little over a month, and I had given up, and I felt like, well, they must have been killed or they starved to death. The other day, last Wednesday, which is one of my off days. I don't teach on Sundays and Wednesdays. And on Wednesdays I do like shopping, and I do grocery shopping and stuff. So I went grocery shopping on Wednesday, and when I got back home, I checked my phone, and she had messaged me. She was still alive. Every time she messages me now, I hear from her since Wednesday. Sometimes I'll hear from her a couple of times a day, and she always says they're okay. Now, I don't think they're okay. I think they're probably not, but spiritually, maybe they probably are, okay? They may be resigned to their fate. People can get in that kind of state. And she was from a religious family, and her family is a religious family. It's not like she is from a religious family. She also was studying Islamic law before her university got destroyed. So, people who are deeply religious, they can be in a lot of chaos, and their mind can be separated. They can be at a state of peace, even in the most chaos. Okay. Myself, I would say I'm a devout person, and a lot of things that used to bother me when I was younger, does not bother me now. Okay. I will put it to the back of my mind. I feel like things I can't change, I can't do anything about, I just sort of leave it. I just leave it to God. And maybe that's what they are doing. Just resign to their fate and just leave. I'm putting it all in the hands of God. Islam and Christianity are very similar. Okay, very similar. I'm not just saying this from somebody telling me this, but I know from my own readings and also reading about a third of the Quran that it is. I really need to go and read the rest of the Quran, because as an educated person, I need to know. Okay, I really need to know. But yeah, yeah, so my young friend Wallace says they're doing okay. And spiritually they probably are. Okay. I know when she first started talking to me almost 2 years ago, I was like, why would somebody in Gaza want to talk to me? Why? I was like, why? Not because of who I am, but I was thinking about, Gaza, what is happening in Gaza now is not something that's new. Okay. They have been, Israel was bombing them periodically over the last several years. They've been doing it for years now. Okay. It's only now that they're leveling the place because basically what is happening there, it is a land grab, a gas grab, all that. And some people mention a canal as well that will rival the Suez. I don't know, but I'm definitely there's evidence about the gas and about the land grab. And that there are people in my country that are like buying off land and planning on going over there, okay, or investing in land there. And the blood hasn't even dried off the rocks yet. People, and they're getting bombed every night because, I follow people on social media that live there. And yeah, besides, Walla, but it's one of the great tragedies of our age. Of course, what is happening there, barbarism and all this kind of stuff at war has been going on since Adam and Eve got out of the garden. Okay. It's been going on. And this is something that humans do. And that's why it's so important that, people rise above the circumstances and the mindsets of the society. Okay. It's very important about that. Of course, most people won't. Most people are going to take the low road, the average road. They're not going to, because it's human nature for the average person to want to fit in. Okay. And so, I just see what goes on over there, like, with what happens with Israel. It's sort of like gang mentality. You got this weak group that has nothing to fight with, no Air Force, no army, just some fighters. And regular people are just getting slaughtered. Okay. Get regular people, the place has just been leveled. It was quite an interesting looking and beautiful place at one point. But yeah, I was like, when she first messaged me, the first thing I was saying, dear, I wish you hadn't contacted me because, the way you guys have to live, the way it is there, I just, if something happens, I'll be thinking, what happened? What happened to you? Why reach out to me? But then at the same time, I can understand why someone like her would want to reach out. They are basically, many people were stuck in that area. They couldn't get out. I think the thing about it, calling it an open air prison, it wasn't so much of a prison. They just couldn't leave. I mean, they had to get permission. Everything was ruled by Israel, and that Israel is, taking the place out, taking them out. So it's just, I don't know. In the last 6 months that this has been going on, I just, I didn't have much faith in humanity anyway. There are some people I like, and I don't hate anybody. I just hate what people do. I just hate things that certain people do. But as far as putting trust and faith in humanity, that sort of ended quite some time ago with me. I don't put a lot of trust and faith. I don't want to put myself in the hands of the average human being. No, I don't. My trust, my faith is actually in God, and that's it. I try to focus on Him and see what is the will for my life. But if you do pray for the people of Gaza, that there will be a ceasefire, that this will end. This has gone on too long, and I'm just happy. I was very excited to hear from her because I had given up that I would hear from her again. I figured that they were dead, and I just, I want to believe that not everybody's going to be killed over there. I want to believe that even if that there will be a miracle, that not everybody will be killed. But I think that they're going to lose Gaza, that, there are people, Gazans, that are trying to keep their optimism that they can build back and they'll say it'll be better than ever. I don't think they're going to be allowed to stay there. I think they're going to be sent into, those that are not killed out will be sent into exile. They'll be sent into exile, and My country's building a pier there and all that. So, this is life. Life is not fair. I can say it more probably than anybody. Being an educated, on the intellectual side, African American woman, the odd egg in a southern town, I know for sure from personal experience, life is not fair. It's definitely not fair. But you have to just keep going and do the best with what you have. Okay. And try to rise above your society. Just because everybody else is going down the tube and just saying, I really don't care, and I'm just going to be the lowest common denominator. Myself, I'm not a follower. I'm just not a follower. I'm just not. Being a follower is very unappealing to me. I want to have autonomy in my thoughts and everything. I don't want to have, I don't even watch television because I don't want rich people. I don't want rich people telling me what to do. I don't want them telling me how to live. I don't want them influencing me how to live. So I'm not into all this commercialism and, celebrity culture and all this stuff. I am just not interested. Okay. I'm me. I'm trying to be the person that I feel that God created me to be. And I feel like he did not create me to be an entity that's like a robot and following everybody else. That's why I do the type of channel that I do. Because if I just felt like I'm supposed to do what, my peers are doing, I wouldn't be doing the type of channel that I do. Okay. And somebody, I feel like somebody's got to do something. So we need more people to take the high road and to have high standards. So that's how I see it. But anyway, I just wanted to share, just a quick book haul and a little bit talking about what I'm reading. I will talk when I finish Professor Sleem's book. I will talk about it a little bit more in depth. I'll just do a video before I turn it in. Hopefully that's my plan, at least. Do a video and talk more about it a little bit more in depth, about his memoir. So I'm going to end here. So I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. So I'm going to end here. So this is Sincerae. Until next time.